here is where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sam Dobie hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Pileski goes, dives on the right side. Very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys. Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Pileski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Well, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the left car and around those at the same time. At the same time. He's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Vito Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will cook the grass a little. A 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernald. Gernald will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
It is a championship finale here for the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship, and we have headed down under to the gorgeous Phillip Island circuit to determine who is going to be our driver's champion and who is going to be our team champion. And you'll get to find out live with us here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hello everyone, I'm Samuel Ryman, and with me in the booth is former IndyCar driver Richie Hearn. Behind the scenes doing all of the button pushing is our director Amjad Yamin, and he's using camera sets provided by Dougie Beard. Richie, we have a lot to decide in our final act today, so let's talk about the stage where the race has set itself, Phillip Island.
Yeah, thank you, Sam, and here we are at beautiful Phillip Island in Victoria, Australia. This is a wonderful track, nice flowing, fast circuit. We got a really long straightaway into a almost pretty much flat out turn 1. We got some rises and falls. We got some good passing zones, particularly in turn 4, down into Lukey Heights, down in turn 10. This is going to be a great track for these cars, and I'm really looking forward to watching this race. But probably the best way for you guys to see what it's like, let's jump on board that GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Juhan Orlampi in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Phillip Island. As you blast down the front stretch, pull over to the left side of the track. Coming up to Juhan, it's going to be hairy if people get too wide into here. Even though there's no lifting, it's marginal and the draft is likely to make it happen often. You'll also be braking very quickly for the southern loop, which can be pretty tricky in itself. Drivers are likely to try to double apex it to ensure they get a launch out of here. And because you won't be lifting on your way through Stoner, that makes this an important run. The reason for that is the heavy braking into Honda. This is one of the most popular passing spots on the lap. It's a sharp little hairpin, but it's pretty easy to outbrake yourself into here, so heads up. After that, it's a short burst to Siberia. You'll be climbing uphill around a cambered bend, but it's in your best interest to square off the exit. You'll keep on climbing, and it's a long ways before you get off the power, so your momentum will be important. As you weave through the S's on the backside of the course, hold right and then bleed off your speed through Lukey Heights. It's a balancing act around here, but once you reach the crest, definitely get the car woed up. Try your best to tuck the car in nice and tighty to the apex of MG. You're not out of the woods yet, because you'll need a little feathering on the throttle through the penultimate corner, and then finally you can let it rip from there on out. The final fast sweeper is all about minimizing inputs and carrying your speed onto the front stretch. Hopefully, you won't have to worry about the car behind getting a run off of your slipstream, but regardless, you've now finished a lap around Phillip Island.
The track was quiet then, it's about to be a bit busier now. As we're getting ready for racing action here at the Phillip Island circuit, let's take a look at our track. And here we have those up on the screen for you. You can see Gernot Frisch's pretty much ran away with the championship, and he's got a lot of points to fall back on if he does have a bad race today. But Matt Wood, our defending series champion, is keeping him honest. And then Alex Millard, Nicola Kochi and George Lambert are all quite close there for third. However, this championship, even though there's still some battles left to be decided, it is nowhere near as close as what we're about to pull up for you here, and that is the Team Championship. And the last couple of rounds, things have really been tightening up between Ligier and Brabham, and now you see they come into this race just 7 markers between them. So pretty much it's going to come down, Richie. If Brabham has a really good team day today, they might be able to steal it from Ligier. Otherwise, that blue team is looking good.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much all season long, Gurno's had the mark, but that team championship has been battling all season long. So coming down to this final round, it is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Should be a great race. We've had some really good races this year, and like I said, I'm excited to see how it plays out.
All right. Well, right now qualifying just getting underway here, and Richie, let's have a look at our race details for the season finale.
Yep, here we are, round 12 of 12, and we do get 4 driver drops and 2 team drops. Those have been calculated in. We have 36 laps. They don't stop for fuel or tires. These cars can go the distance. They do use open setups, and so that's going to play a part, as well as who can run the least amount of downforce and get through the tight corners. We use that 17x incident cap as normal, and also the official iRacing points system.
All right, so who knows how many points the drivers are going to score today, because this is an official iRacing Series race. It's 35 cars, around 35 cars here, I think we've got today in this single car split. And the points, only the iRacing computer servers know how many points are going to be paid out for a win and for second. As we mentioned, barring a disaster from Gurno Friesch, I mean, even if Friesch finished last and didn't have any points to fall back on, it's still going to be a tough ask for our driver second in the championship, our defending champion Wood, to take the championship away from him. And in fact, it might be even tougher than I'm making it out to be, because I'm not sure he's actually in the server for this race. Gurno Friesch is, but I'm not seeing Matt Wood, so that pretty much solidifies the championship for Friesch there in the Drivers' Championship, if it wasn't his already. But you see the paint scheme there. He is one of those Parmalee Brabham drivers, so he's got another championship to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's pretty much dominated the races this year. He's won a bunch, and even when he didn't win, he's always right up there. I don't remember him having a bad race this year, but his team has been tight. You know, he's been doing the mule work for them, and so we'll see how his other teammates play out, and that team championship is going to come down right to that lap.
Friesch just went faster, so there we go, a 118.214 to the top of the standings ahead of Alex Millwood. All these drivers have 8 minutes, an 8-minute qualifying session in which they can turn 2 timed laps. And here's Tommy Unhola, who had a great race over in the Batteries Not Included Championship yesterday. Here's another one of those Ligier drivers, Pablo Lombardo Suarez, comes across the line. He currently sits 12th.
Yeah, Pablo has been kind of quiet this year. He's been fighting up a little bit farther to the front. He's been pretty quiet, but comes in 12th position. Right now, that top position between Gurno and Alex, pretty tight, just a 1/10 of a second. Adam Frazier's sitting 3rd at the moment, and we're getting close to the end of this session. So we'll see if anybody can upset that top 3.
Here's a name I'm not too familiar with, riding a number 34 car, so that means his iRating is a little on the low end. He might be a new driver to this car. That is Corey Chester. Let's see what he can do out there right now on his first timed lap. Our provisional top 3, as you see at the top of your screen, is Gurno Friesch, Alex Millwood, and Adam Frazier. Most of the fast drivers, or the drivers with the lower, but with the high iRatings, the lower numbers on their car, they've already turned their timed laps, so we don't anticipate a whole lot changing up front.
The top 3 pretty close too. So Gurno at an 18.35, Miller with a 8.34. Oh, sorry, 18.21 to an 18.34. And Adams right there with an 18.50. So only 0.3 separating those top 3. So I think the start's going to be important to get up front, and then we'll see who can draft by each other. I think the downforce level is going to be important too, because it does have some really fast sections, but when you take that downforce off, you really struggle in those long sweeping corners.
This is Timothy Reed in the number 13 car on track. However, you don't see a time up next to his name. I know we've been having a couple of little technical issues on our end here, so maybe he is on a timed lap. And we'll find out in a few seconds from now as he's working his way through Lukey Heights. I also want to take a quick note at something though, Richie, talking about how much the championship could get shaken up today. It might be tough for Brabham to overcome that 7.0 as Reed goes off course. That means that his lap time won't count and he won't get one in because the clock will hit 0. I don't think there's a whole lot of points on the line today compared to some recent races, because I see some drivers, I'm going to take Glenn Corrigan as an example, nothing against Glenn, but I've seen races, I think he's had the number 20 or something on his car, and he's got the number 14 today, so I wouldn't be surprised if the strength of field is a little bit lower than normal for this race, and that just means Brabham is really going to have a good race to overcome that 7-point deficit over Ligier.
Yeah, that's the quirk about the system, is that the points are not fixed. It's all going to come down to the strength of field, and we don't know that until pretty much once we start. So here we are, gridding up for the race.
So let's go ahead and read out our full starting grid. Up front, it will set pretty much early on with that impressive lap time from Gernot Frisch. He has a pole over Alex Millwood. Behind him is Adam Fraser and Steve Bycroft in row number 2. Richard Keeley will be starting from 5th position, and George Lambert as the number 2 on his car today. He'll be starting 6th ahead of John Stevens and Tommy Mikhail in Hola. Peter Konevsky, one of the Brabham drivers, got his work cut out for him. He'll be starting 9th ahead of Tobias Gerber.
Starting 11th will be Barry West. Right next to him in 11th and 12th will be Pablo Suarez. Charles Eric Lemelin and Keith Herner make up the next row, 13th and 14th. Starting behind them will be Danielle Gutuzzo, Kendrick Taylor in the 16th position, Daniel Banker, Robert Simpkins, 17th and 18th, and Tony Teolis and Armando Edwards in the 19th and 20th spot.
Paulo Alberton will be rolling off from 21st ahead of Alexei Heinonen. Peter Durgan will be starting 23rd ahead of Fabio Guerrero. Behind him, Brennan Cleveland rolls off 25th ahead of Todd Herner. Paul Ferrer and Pepe Rosillo are going to be on row number 14. And the last 2 cars to set a time in qualifying were Corey Trester and Francisco Javier Gutierrez. 5 drivers didn't turn a lap in qualifying or tried to, but ran off or ran into issues. And those are Timothy Reed, Glenn Corrigan, Adnan Dizdarevic, Francois Gagne, and Javier Romero. All right, we're just a couple moments away from lights out here at Phillip Island for the final race this season of the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship. As we mentioned, it pretty much Gernot Frisch, the driver's champion. Can he win the race today? Well, he's got a nice launch off the line. He's going to have turn 1 to himself as a field of 35 cars charges off into this flat-out right-hander. They'll still be building up speed as they come into this tricky turn number 2. It's easy to lose a car here.
Yeah, big run down into turn 1. Everybody kind of sorting themselves out, but they go over this hill in turn 2. It's a little off camber. Looks like everybody's doing a good job so far, just staying in line and just kind of letting it get warmed up and sorted out.
Now into the heavy braking zone. This is one of the slower portions of the course. There's plenty of passing opportunities that can be made here. And sure enough, you see some action going on in the back. Barry West just made a move on Charles Eric Lemelin. Up front, though, it's still Frisch leading Millwood, Fraser, Bycroft, and Lambert has moved his way up into 5th place as they go down this back straight and into Lukey Heights. Definitely one of the trickier parts of the circuit.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest shots you'll see right there as they go over the hill, and then they have to brake hard for this tight right-hander. And then from here on out, leads pretty much flat out onto the front straightaway. And this is where if you get a good run, you can pick up that draft and make a move into turn 1.
Now, can Alex Millward do exactly that? He is within striking range of Gurno Frisch. Gurno Frisch at a bit of a disadvantage here. He's the only driver not to have someone to slipstream. However, that's not going to bother him. He holds on to the lead for now, close for third place between Adam Fraser and Steve Bycroft. And a report from further back in the field, it looks like we had a clean start, but Charles-Eric Clemelin is out of the race.
There we go. The replay of that incident is coming up right now. And looks like as they go through that tight right-hander, and not seeing what happens here just yet, but it's coming through that left-hander and just got on the gas a little too hard on his own, and there he goes over the hill. So quick end to his race. That's unfortunate for Charles.
Charles-Eric Clemelin out of a race as well. I think Brendan Cleveland might have run into some kind of issues, but let's keep our eye on up front because Alex Millward is not letting Gurno Frisch get away with this lead. We've seen Gurno Frisch have so many races this year. He's been absolutely dominant, but boy, I know it's only lap 2, but he hasn't been able to break away today. This is one of the stronger performances I think we've seen out of Millward in a while.
Yeah, Gurno usually just kind of pulls away steadily. He's one that doesn't make a lot of mistakes, but Alex has been able to stay with him. I don't know. Looks like he's not really able to catch that draft, so I think might be Gurno running a little bit less downforce, so he's going to back up to Alex in the twistier sections, but pull away in the straight. So we'll see as it plays out. These four right here. Alex, or Gurno, Alex, and Adam and Steve kind of pulled out to their own little battle, but they're all separated out. No room for passing just yet.
Millward has only had one podium finish all season long. It was a third at Alton Park. So this is definitely, if he can hold on to this, and granted there's a long way to go still, it would definitely be his strongest performance of the season. Some more attrition at the back end of the field. It looks like we've lost a few cars, actually. Javier Romero is out of a race. François Argagne is out of a race. So things have been rather clean up front. Towards the back, some drivers not so fortunate.
Got a nice little battle here with George Lambert for 5th place. He's got Richard Keeley and Tommy Unhola right behind him. And Richard just about tried to make a move going into Lukey Heights there. But wasn't able to, so these guys are tight. That's George in one of those Ligier cars, so part of the team championship battle we were talking about.
Yeah, let's go back to 9th place, because that's where you'll find the other Ligiers, and that is being led in the train by Pablo Lombrara Suarez ahead of Barry West. And look what's at the back of that train. Peter Koneski in 11th position in a Brabham, and that's not where Peter Koneski wants to be. Things are looking good for Ligier right now.
Yeah, right now they have 3 cars in the top 10, and Brabham only has 1 in the top 10 with Peter Koneski just sitting outside of it. So we got a long ways to go still. We're only lap 4 of 36, so see how this plays out, but give the advantage to Ligier at the moment.
The other Brabham of Gurno Frisch is feeling probably a bit better right now, though. He's finally been able to put some distance between himself and Alex Millward. You can see at the top of your screen the interval there is quite a little bit over a second now. And Millward might actually have to worry about Adam Fraser and Steve Bycroft behind him 2nd and 4th. As boy, these Ligiers getting close together down in the braking zone as Peter Koneski watches on.
Yeah, Gurno's just doing what he does. He's very steady, very consistent. He just dropped 8/10 on George, he just dropped a couple tenths on Alex Millward on that 4th lap, working the 5th lap.
Yeah, we thought we saw someone going off here, and we did. It was Tobias Gerber.
Yep, here he comes through that long section. This long corner left, and then straight, and then left. Oh, it just drops a wheel on the outside, just loses a little bit. He's able to keep going, but that leads on to the fastest section of the track, so he's going to lose a lot of positioning.
Oh, close for 9th position right now. Barry West in Siberia trying to look on the outside of John Stevens. Very tough to make it work that way around, but he might be able to do it. He's got a better run going down the back straight. The road kinks to the right here. They get very close, almost wheel-to-wheel contact. Barry West has the outside once again, but this time he's going to be able to close the door and make that move, work on John Stevens. And I think that's all being set off from a mistake by Stevens, because he was 8th at the start of this lap, and right now he's fighting hard to hold on to 10th because Peter Konietzki's all over the back of him.
Yeah, that was really tight. They almost had wheel-to-wheel contact, almost locked wheels there, but Barry West, a little bit of a power move around the outside, and he's moving forward.
Let's see, Konietzki's going to be able to get a little bit of a run here. He's going to look to the outside. That's not the best way around, though. Let's see what can happen in turn 2. This is a turn that just goes on and on, but it feels all right if you can keep the back end of your car underneath you. Honestly, I'm surprised we haven't seen more spins here in turn 2 early on. I might want to knock on wood after that, because that always seems to be an occurrence here at Phillip Island. As once again they hit the heavy braking zone, Peter Konietzki sticks the nose out, but nothing happens.
Yeah, that turn 2 is tricky because you come into it with so much speed after turn 1, and then it goes over a hill. So if you're already a little loose, as soon as you get over that hill, you really kind of lose the rear end. But if you can make that move around the outside on turn 1, kind of hang there, the next corner is going to be yours. So that's kind of one thing to set up turn 2.
The battles in the top 10 have broke up a little bit, but the nice thing about a 35 car field is we always have, and as I say that, the Ferrari and Olivier get close together again. We always have battles throughout these fields because they've been about 30, 40 cars strong all season long. From 15th on back, things are quite tight. Fabio Guerrero leading a train around there in the middle of the field. There you see Armando Edwards and Daniel Gattuso behind him.
Yeah, he's got a train of about 6 cars behind him, so this is where the heaviest battle on the track is at the moment for that 15th spot as they head down the straightaway into that turn one we were talking about.
This right about the middle of the field, like we say, 14th, 15th place or so out of 28 cars left in this race. Here are the cars that have fallen by the wayside. The Daniel Banker, Pepe Vecchio, Javier Romero, Brendan Cleveland, Charles Eric Lemelin, and Glenn Corrigan and Francois Gagne, I don't think actually started the race. And now we got the battle for 6th again. Here we go, wheel to wheel.
And Richard Keeley is going to get passed by Tommy Unhola. So Richard's going backwards a little bit there. That was a good move by Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy's been on top form recently. Towards the start of the season, he was running into many incidents, not all of them necessarily his fault. And he kind of said at the end of the first half of the season, well, I hope the second half of the season will go a lot better. It can't really go any worse. And to his credit, it has. We've seen Unhola bringing home a lot more top 10 finishes, not only in this series, but also in the Batteries Not Included Championship, where I think he finished 4th yesterday. So Tommy Unhola has been having some good races recently.
Everybody's separated out here up front. All the way back to Richard Keeley in that 7th spot. Then there's a healthy gap between him and Pablo Suarez in the 8th spot. Ooh, that battle for 15th and 16th, 17th, they're all heating up. I saw Armando Edwards almost getting the back of Fabio Guglielmi.
Yeah, that was all kicked off. Pepe Vecchio has came back out on track, and he's a lapped car. He kind of held the leaders up here, and that's accordioned them all together again.
Yeah, it's that group of 3 right there, and then going back to Tommy Tiolis is another battle of about 4 cars right behind them. So this mid-pack battle is really hot right now as the top pretty much 10, 11, 12 cars are all separated out enough to where there's no moves being made at the moment.
But talk about moves being made, it's the driver at the front end of his train who's made the most, Fabio Guerrero, and they get side by side behind him, Armando Edwards and Daniel Gattuso. But Fabio in the number 25 car, there you see it, bottom of your screen, he's up 9 spots from where he started.
Yeah, he's the biggest mover so far. Paulo Alberton in front of him, 21st to 14th is a good job. John Stevens has probably lost the most spots. He's started 7th. He's down to 10th. So, oh no! And Fabio just loses it in front of this group and takes out 2 cars behind him. Just happened to be watching that on my screen. He just lost it completely on his own.
And this is the fear when you have a close pack like this at Phillip Island, Richie, especially going into turn 2. This isn't the first time we've seen this happen.
Yeah, it looked like it happened so quick. He might have missed a downshift, and it just locked that rear end up. And unfortunately, the 2 drivers behind him paid the price, as we're on board with Daniel Suzo right now, and just coming through the corner. And they have nowhere to go. It's just one of those things. He locks it up, and there they go, both into him. They all 3 keep going, but they all have damage as well.
Yeah, it looks like Gattuso ran into a little bit of target fixation there. He could have tried to have committed to the turn normally and probably would have got through it, but he just reacted to the accident going ahead of him, and that involved in him going off too. How easy is that to do, Richie? You've been a professional race car driver. How much do they have to emphasize to you before the race? Remember, don't do target fixation. Is that something they teach you all in racing school?
I mean, if they have to tell you to do that, you're probably going to do it. So it's just a kind of an instinct, and you're always going to go where you're looking. That's one thing we always try to teach at the beginning stages, but it is easy to do. You know, you just kind of have a panic moment, and then it's too late. So you just got to learn to look where you want to go, keep that in your peripheral vision, and hopefully you missed it. It is easy, but it is an important part of being successful is to not do that.
It's also something they taught me in motorcycle courses. If anyone watching is planning on getting a motorcycle anytime soon, you try and study up about target fixation. It's definitely something you want to avoid. Now, I know I might be throwing a lot of heat on Daniel Gattuso here. He might have thought that the cars were going to crash to the left, and he opted to go to the right. Who knows? I hate to be putting words in his mouth. Let's talk about Gurno Free. He just set another fastest lap of a race of 1 minute 18.8. He has now extended his lead up front to 2.2 seconds over Alex Millwood. But Millwood still holding on in second. Like we said a few laps ago, even if he isn't able to challenge Fish for the win today, if he can just hold on the second place, it would still be his best finish of the season this year in the batteries, not in the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship.
Yeah, he's just losing about 1/10 of a second or 2 each lap. He's just kind of hanging out. When they get into lap traffic, he might be able to make a move. But we were watching this battle earlier. I'd like to go back to that Suarez and Barry West battle. These guys are tight. They are teammates, and they are in the lead in that team championship. So it is important that they don't take each other out. But Barry West has been all over Suarez in a couple parts of this track. And they're bringing along John Stevens as well. As we have on screen, there's Barry West right there. He's right on the back of his teammate Suarez. If he could just get a good run off of this corner right here, this is where he can make that move if he can get into the draft. But and once again, it comes down to that downforce levels, which we don't know who's running what.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see Barry West be a little conservative about making a pass on Suarez, because we talked to him a few weeks ago, and, you know, there's some drivers who are involved in this team championship who it doesn't seem to mean a whole lot to them, and some drivers who might not even be aware that they're in the mix of a team championship fight, you know, just worrying about their own performances. But Barry West seemed to be one of those drivers who's very intent on, as we see about the 14th back here, he seems to really want Ligier to bring home this team championship. He wants to be a part of that success. So I would be surprised if he does anything silly on Suarez. Oh, as off goes Heinen.
Yeah, we were watching that battle, and he looks like he just got a little too close to Tony. Oh, he got passed by Tony there, and then coming into turn 2, and there you go. That's that section you're talking about. That just gets a little bit light, and we're just right out of track. He's going to be able to keep going, but he's going to lose a lot of positions because there was a whole train of cars there.
So, and then now the graphic showing him down in 21st position after that off-track excursion.
Up front, Gurno, once again, still leading. He's got a 2-second gap over Alex Millward. Adam Frazier, not too far behind Alex, so if he slips up, he's going to take that spot. But then there's a healthy gap back to Steve Bycroft into 4th, and another healthy gap back to George Lambert. So really the biggest battle on the track, or the closest battles, are probably starting with 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Yeah, I know I just had a little monologue about why I think Barry West is going to take it easy when coming to make a move on Suarez. However, he doesn't want to take it too easy. He doesn't want to waste too much time behind him here, because there you see John Stevens pressuring him from 10th position.
So right now, Ligier looking good. They got George Lambert in 5th spot, Suarez and Barry West in 8th and 9th. Mir Kaninsky hasn't made any progress so far. He started 9th, but he's still sitting 11th. That's going to be hard with those 3 guys in the top 10 to beat as far as the team points go.
Working their way almost up to the halfway point. These drivers don't have to worry about pit stops or anything along those lines. They can fill this car up with enough fuel to make it to the finish line. See if we go back to the battle with Tony Teolis.
Yeah, Timothy Reed just made a move on Tony Teolis to take over that 14th spot, or 15th spot, sorry. Even though we had a little incident there, this 15th position has been hot the whole race. Just different players involved. And you see Tony trying to get in the draft. They're weaving back and forth, trying to break that draft. Not going to be able to make the move into turn 1, but see if he can make a move going into turn 2. And not quite close enough. He does have Tobias Gerber right behind him as well, trying to take those spots away.
By the way, the driver at the front of this train, as we watch him go wheel the wheel, Tobias Gerber does take a spot away in the heavy braking zone. Nice move there, although we'll see if Teolis gets him back as they go on to the long front straight. The driver right in front of him, leading them around, is Timothy Reed. Now, yes, he's up 16 positions, and you may say, oh, well, that's not because... that's because he didn't turn a lap during qualifying. You know, he didn't get a competitive lap time in, and so he should be up ahead of 31st. Well, you're right, but at the same time, he tried to turn a lap on in qualifying, and he just ran off. So obviously he's got his act together here for the race, and he's performing a lot better than what he was about 20 minutes ago, and has made many moves to get up here. As off goes Dogan.
Yep, just looks like he lost it on his own, just trying to get on the power a little too hard. He's going to lose a couple of spots, able to keep going. Here's the replay of that incident. He's just trying to get that power down, just loses it, catches it, loses it, and then off he goes. Fortunately, nobody hit him, and he'll just keep on trucking. Meanwhile, up front, I'm watching Gurno Frisch. He's gone through a couple of lap cars. Alex Millward has gotten, he's still staying close to him. He's only 2 seconds behind, so... Usually at this point, Gurno's kind of set off into the distance, but he's keeping Gurno honest by just lapping, 10th or 2 behind him. And that's we'll see how it happens. But Gurno doesn't make any mistakes, so it's going to take some kind of mistake from somebody else, I think, to cause him to lose that spot.
And you see the sun is setting here on the virtual Phillip Island circuit. It's getting late in the day. It's around 7:15 p.m. I haven't really talked about the weather a whole lot today, Richie. And there's a couple of things worth noting here. First of all, the track temperature is quite cool in iRacing terms. This is really the coldest it gets on iRacing. And also a very strong wind coming from the southwest. This is a circuit that's quite close to the coast.
Yeah, in real life, it's always windy here because it's right on the edge of the water, and that track temp is pretty cold. So I'm surprised, we didn't see more spinouts at the beginning. These tires are pretty heavy or hardy, so once they get a little heat in them, they handle pretty good. Yeah, it's a little bit colder than we normally see. It is getting a little bit late. As you can see, the sun's starting to set a little bit.
You see something else happening here. Tommy Nhola's been on the move. We've seen him already work his way from 8th up into 6th. Now he's thinking about 5th. We're hearing something happen to Alexei Heinonen. He was running around 20th position. We might have a replay. And I can tell you he's out of a race, so I can tell you this replay probably doesn't end well.
No, he just straight on there, and then he exits. So I don't know if he got mad or he had a problem, but he didn't hit anything. But he definitely comes in and just misses the corner.
That's sometimes called the telephone's ringing effect. Oh, and off is Francisco Javier Gutierrez. I believe we just saw Tony Teolis having an off as well. So still this track proving tricky out there as we approach the halfway point. One of the longer races here of the season, I would say, Richie. This is probably going to end up being about 45 minutes. I think some have been wrapped up a little quicker than that this year.
Yeah, it is one of the longer races, and not too demanding, so it's just kind of nice and flowing, so it's not going to wear them out too much. But yeah, it is one of the longer races. This battle between Suarez and Barry West is not stopped. Barry has been all over the back of Suarez. As you look out the back of Suarez's car, you can see Barry West there, also John Stevens, and they've brought along Peter Kaninsky. He's kind of closed up to that group.
Yeah, Peter might not have given up yet. Although I wonder how much Peter's just focused on trying to get to the finish line, considering last race at Suzuka, I believe he was one of those who sustained heavy damage on the opening lap in a multi-car pile up there. Barry West was another one of those drivers who unfortunately got caught out in that incident. He's having a solid performance so far in 9th place. Basically, West and Kaninsky have switched positions from where they started. Starting to get a bit dark here, honestly, Richie. Does that bother you when you're racing the car around? Does it make potholes and stuff harder to find in the racing track?
It does make it a little harder to read the track, but the biggest thing is the sun. You know, there might be certain sections where you're coming right into the sun, so the glare on the track becomes tough to see where the edge is, and that's where you can start making some mistakes.
And I'm aware as soon as the words came out my mouth, there's not a whole lot of potholes on racing tracks, and there's never potholes here on iRacing. So that's always there's bumps though. There sure are some bumpy circuits. This isn't one of them.
No, this is a great track. I'd love to go here and watch a race someday.
And to emphasize this point, our director has just told us over our headsets that he has brightened up this image. What the drivers are seeing right now is actually a lot darker than what we're seeing here on screen. Now, of course, it's also the virtual world, so the drivers can always brighten up their screens, but still, I just wanted to make a note of that.
Top 4, nothing's changed. Everybody's separated out by a few seconds. It's been pretty much the top 4 qualified and are running the same position that they qualified, so a little bit boring up front, but we have had some great battles. Once again, Suarez, Barry West, John Stevens, and Peter Kaninsky all tightened up for that 8th spot.
18th place just traded hands. Daniel Gattuso got by Robert Simpkins. Gattuso trying to make a comeback from an earlier incident. By the way, lap traffic is going to start becoming a fact. Our leaders have already put several cars a lap down. It's only about 1 minute 20 a lap around here. And as Richie and I just mentioned a little while ago, this isn't the shortest race these drivers have had. We've still got about half a race ahead of us. The good news, Richie, is it's kind of easy to get around lap cars here, but we have seen battles this season where there's been like a battle going on for 15th place, and the lead has to find a way through that.
Yeah, it is a very wide circuit, and so there are places for those lap cars. Ooh, as we had a lap car go off right in front of Pablo Suarez, right in the middle of turn 2. I don't know who that was, but that caused a little bit of chaos. But just as I was saying that, there's room for these guys to get out of the way. But that doesn't always mean that they're do that. So the leaders are going to have to be pretty careful as they come up to some of these guys.
Gurno Frisch continues to lead them around 20 laps in the books. His lead to Alex Millwood remains as Frisch clicks off the fastest lap of the race. He's now extended it to 3 seconds. Adam Fraser running a quiet race all on his own in third. Steve Bycroft running a quiet race all on his own in fourth. And then we get back to what's happening on screen. And that's fifth on back. And that's about to change hands because Unhola's got a nice run on Lambert here as they head off into turn 1.
Yeah, he got a great run down that front straightaway, picked up the draft, just took the position into turn 1. George was pretty quiet, running by himself. All of a sudden, here he goes. Tommy Unhola making some good moves. Like you said, second half of the season's turning out much better than the first half for him. But great job. Moved Tommy Unhola into that top 5.
Can he hold on to it is the question. Obviously, he'd like to nail these corners together well and break the slipstream between himself and Lambert. Another thing I'm sure he'd love to see is George Lambert get involved in the battle with Richard Keeley for 6th place. Now, of course, even though Lambert, Olivier driver, has lost a position, they still have 3 of them running ahead of the second Brabham. And by the way, we need to give Brabham credit for what they've done this season because the Ligier drivers, all 3 of them, have consistently been showing up, whereas for Brabham, only 2 of those drivers have really regularly been here. And they've been holding their ground well, but it just looks like Ligier is going to come out with the upper hand.
Yeah, just, I mean, even though Gurno's won a bunch of races, just the consistency of the Ligiers put them up, as we're seeing here again.
Another drive in the pits, Tobias Gerber. He had been running down in 16th place.
There we go. He's going through the corner and making that tight corner. That corner is really tricky to get slowed down for. But here you go. He's going to try to go on the inside, and he just gets clipped. And that's the end of his race, unfortunately.
He wasn't racing anyone, so I wonder if that was a lap. Oh no, yeah, it's a lap car trying to get out of his way. Did they both just go to the left?
Yeah, it looked like the lap car tried to go left, and he went left. You know, just the best thing for lap cars, if anybody's listening, just drive your line, and you know, because as you're coming up on those guys, on somebody, you're predicting where they're going to be, and if you change that, then that's what happens.
Have we picked out the lap car that was involved? Corey Chester doesn't look like he has too much damage on his car. Well, whether he was a car involved or not, Corey Chester's still doing an okay job, just riding out there right now, having not set a lap in qualifying. No, wait, he did set a lap in qualifying, but he only gone 29th on the grid, and right now just as Lambert runs off there.
Yeah, Lambert was all over the back of Unhola for a second, then he ran wide, lost, but was able to keep it going right up to the back of his gearbox under braking for that corner we were just talking about. And so Tommy made that pass, but he hasn't been able to clear George, so now he's got to do the defending. Right on board George right there as they come up to the right and then up over Lukey Heights to another decent passing zone if you can get the car slowed down.
Tricky to do with as much as this portion of a racetrack goes downhill.
You can see how they go down into that corner. You can see the glare on the track from the sun being set. So that's what I was talking about, like right there. It's really hard to find the edge of the track when it's like that. So that's what makes it tough.
You talk about wanting to go here in real life, Richie. One thing I think that would be impressive to see is stand at the bottom of that hill and get an idea of just how tall that really is.
Yeah, I'm sure just like any track, it's always a lot more impressive in person. And it just looks like it'd be a great place to come visit to watch any type of race.
Oh, wait, a big moment for John Stevens. He had been running in 10th in that little four-way scrap, and Peter Koneski spins trying to avoid him. I don't think either of them got any damage, unless Stevens hit the Stevens hit the Marshall stand on the infield as he was spinning, and that's why he's having to take a tow.
Yeah, he just plowed into that Marshall stand, and he did a lot of damage. He is in the pit lane at the moment. He's out of the race. So here they come, replay going into turn 1, and as he turns in, he's gonna just get a little bit loose as they there he goes, and then boom, and that's the end of his race. So now there are only 3 in that group.
2 actually, because Koneski had a spin as well, but credit where it's due to our virtual marshals who didn't even flinch during that accident, as we'll get an idea of what Koneski's view was like, and you can definitely understand Koneski's reactions.
Yeah, I actually didn't even see that, so he just kind of spun the car to just keep from hitting him, and that's working on that target fixation.
Tried to make a joke there. I don't think we actually have virtual marshals there. Here goes Koneski trying to get 10th place back from Keith Herner, and he does so.
Oh, and Unhola makes a mistake and spins as, oh no, he's going to lose that position to George Lambert and Richard Keeley. Oh, Keeley's still behind him, yes, but looks like George is going to just try to make a move here going into that corner, and Unhola just out breaks himself, gets in the grass, and you can see he gets on the gas right here, right in front of Keeley. Keeley does a good job not hitting him, but no damage done, but he's going to lose that spot. And here, on board with Keeley, you're going to see him come almost to a complete stop. Hard on the brakes, and away we go. So just a little mistake by Unhola. I know he's not going to be happy with himself, but he's still in the game.
He could definitely still get that position back. He's only, well, a couple of seconds back.
Yeah, a couple seconds, but we still have about 10 laps to go, so still have a long ways into this race.
Ten laps to go. It'll take a bit over 10 minutes here with minute 10 a lap. This train continues with Pablo Lombardo Suarez ahead of Barry West. West hasn't tried making a move on his teammate yet. I wonder if his philosophy is going to change. Now he doesn't have the pressure of the Ferrari and Olivier from behind. And oh, there we go. He sticks his nose out a lot late on the brakes there than Suarez.
He's been, I've been watching him. He's been poking his nose in there and hasn't made any true 100% commitments, but I think he's just in there to see if he can get Suarez to make his own mistake. That might change as we get closer to the end, but he's definitely putting the heat on Suarez for the last 10 laps or so.
And you see that on the graphic now, with the incident for John Stevens, who, by the way, has retired from the race, that's actually moved Peter Koneski back up into 10th, which is the highest he's been racing all race. And Koneski would love to see these two tangle in front of him. He won't be able to see it. He'll be able to see it on his F3, his relative screen.
Up front, Gurno pulling away from Alex Millward at the moment. He's 3.5 seconds ahead, so that battle is fizzled out. Alex Millward has got another 5 seconds on Adam Fraser, so there's not much battles going on in that top 4. But George Lambert taking that 5th spot. Right behind him, Tony Unhola's got Richard Keeley all over him, though.
Here we go, back to that battle between Unhola, who will be trying to pull away from Keeley and run George Lambert back down and try and get 5th place as they navigate their way around the lap car. By the way, with Gurno Frisch up front dominating by about 3 seconds right now, if you can call that dominating, this would be his 8th win in 12 races this season if he can hold on to that. And that would be an achievement because it would last year it was Juha Noralampi who won 7 out of the 12 races, and I've been wondering the last few rounds if Gurno Friis was going to beat that. We kept reminding of him of it during the post-race interviews, so I don't really think he cared too much, but still, a feather in the cap if Gurno Friis can pull this off.
Yeah, in the interview, he said he didn't really even know that that was the case, but come on, we all care. So if he wins this race, he's gonna, he may not say it publicly, but he walk away and go, yeah, that was cool.
There's only 9 laps, coming up to 8 laps left to go for, if he hasn't won the championship already, this is pretty much just, he has, let's put it that way. All right, let's go back. 8th place, the 2 Ligiers close on track. As long as these two don't tangle, I have a feeling these guys will have something to celebrate, a trophy to take home at the end of this as well. But, no more trouble for Nhola. And he might come back out here right in front of these 2 Ligiers. No, he's actually quite far ahead, but he has lost 6th place now to Richard Keeley.
Yeah, which looks like he just got it a little bit loose, a little bit hot, got a little loose and overcorrected and snapped back to the outside. So he's definitely not going to be happy with himself after that. But he's trying hard. But he still has a healthy gap between himself and Suarez and Barry West. Peter Kaninsky has got his own battle now. He's got Keith Herner kind of closing in on the back of him.
Yeah, Kaninsky got by Herner. Thought he would have pulled away, but the number 16 cars have been doing a good job at holding on to him.
Not much else going on up front. Pretty quiet. All gapped out by a bunch of seconds. Steve Bycroft, let's give him credit. He started 4th, running 4th. He's been real quiet and doing a good job, but he's he's 9 seconds behind Adam Fraser, but hasn't made any mistake. George Lambert holding on to that 5th spot after losing it briefly to Tommy Unhola, but now he's gained it back and got a couple second gap on Richard Keeley.
Oh, we had a spin in turn 2, and our race leader, Gurno Friis, has to avoid it. Fabio Guerrero. Gurno Friis was catching a pack of lap cars, and things almost got a bit hairy here when Guerrero spun in turn 2, and there wasn't a whole lot of room for Friis.
Well, that's the danger of these races with all these cars, and there you go. That guy just spins right on his own, and here comes Tommy. No target fixation for, Gurno. No target fixation for Gurno there as he makes a move to the inside, but that'll make, as you cruise along, that'll make your heart rate go up a little bit. And Gattuso spinning on his own as well. And I don't know if the temperatures are dropping, so I don't know if it's making these cars harder to handle. Track temp has actually lost a degree.
I just know we've done our job, Richie, because even though we might not end up with a thrilling finish for the win in this one, we taught some audience members about target fixation, and that makes me feel like I've done my good deed for the day.
All right.
All right, so Gurno Friis, despite all that, has only lost a 10th to Alex Millward. He still has a couple more lap cars to deal with ahead of him.
Yeah, not many battles going on. We still have this battle with Suarez and Barry West. Barry has not given up, but I don't think he's really going to try anything unless Pablo makes him.
Another driver coming into the pits, maybe calling it a day. That's Peter Duggan from 20th place. He's been running a lap down. We have 15 cars left on the lead lap. Actually, looks like a scheduled pit stops. Maybe had a spin and burned up his tyres and wanted a new set to finish off the event. It's also possible he could have just not had enough fuel to get in it to the end. Like we say, these cars have fuel cells big enough to finish the whole race without pitting. That doesn't mean the driver's always going to get their math right.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, as we talked about how this being one of the longer races. Hopefully everybody calculated their fuel correctly.
Well, also, you're wide open quite a lot around here, Richie, as we see Gernot Frisch more wide open than the rest, clicking off the fastest lap again. So that's got to be burning a lot more fuel than normal.
Yeah, hopefully if they've done some practicing and calculated that out, and we'll see in the next 4 or 5 laps if somebody has made that mistake. Not many battles going on out there. Like I say, the best battle is between 8th and 9th, but I don't know how much they're really battling. I think they're just kind of cruising along.
Yeah, another championship that goes on, by the way, is, of course, with this being the official iRacing series, well, let's hold this thought, because Barry West has a nice run on Suarez here. He sticks his nose out, doesn't do anything. Through turn 1, coming up to turn 2. Now, this is last turn that West wants to see Suarez get wrong, because that would wipe both of his Ligiers out. Let's see, can West get a good run on him? No, not really. Alright, so back to the point I was trying to make, and I forget what that is, so we'll come back to that in a moment. Oh yeah, the other Drivers' Championship going on. Oh, Barry West almost spun it there. As they head their way through Siberia. This is an official iRacing series, so even though this is the strength of field race that they have each week, and that's why we broadcast it, and that's why they make a big deal out of it with the Classic Team Championship, the paints and everything going on, it doesn't mean there's not an official iRacing series still going on, where the points pay differently. You know, they pay based on your performance during the week. And there's been quite a good scrap going on there between Gernot Frisch and Juha Noralampi, with Noralampi not here for this race, and with Frisch taking home a win in, you know, a pretty decently sized field. That could definitely give Frisch the advantage of that. Now, of course, we're not going to be able to read out a champion following this race, because they still have official races going on for another day or two before week 12 finishes on iRacing and that champion is confirmed. But I'm sure that that'll be another little feather in the cap for Gernot Frisch if he takes home this win in 4 laps time.
Oh, I'm sure he's paying attention to that as well. And that's the one thing. This is not the only race during the week. There's races going on non-stop. So the points on some of the other championships, like you talked about, are never decided until I think Monday, right?
Monday at 12. Whoop. Oh, okay. What happened? What just happened here? Daniel Gattuso, you see him running off course and disappearing. That means he's hit that 17 incident point limit. And that means iRacing says, bye-bye, you can race no more.
Yeah, just chops a wheel on the outside, and that's it, and he's gone.
I remember the first time we covered a race like that on GSRC. We wondered where all the cars were disappearing.
I would, you know, up front, everything's really quiet. I was actually thinking this would have been a closer race than it's been, but Gernot Frisch has done what he always does. He just puts those laps in. He just doesn't, he doesn't make any mistakes. Except that.
But lap cars do. And
yeah,
that
right?
could have been hairy.
Yeah, I mean, it just, if something's going to happen, it's usually not his fault. Usually something happens in front of him that he can't avoid. And he has a decent gap, so he doesn't have to push too hard. But I'm sure he's paying attention to those lap cars as he comes to lap them once again. He's lapped all the way up to 14th spot, 15th spot.
Yeah, credit where it's due once again to Alex Millward. He's got 7 seconds over Frazier. So barring disaster, he'll be able to finish off his season with a good performance here. And who knows, he might be fighting for the Drivers' Championship next season. Last year it was, well, it was Juha Noralampi who was dominant in most of the races, but he wasn't fighting for the championship. So it ended up going, as we see Adam Frazier making a move here, ended up going to Matt Wood. Matt Wood has done well this season, second in the point centre in this race. He might lose that given the fact he's not here today. And has West finally made a move? No, he hasn't.
No, he has been right in the back breathing those fumes this whole race. So I think he might be just waiting to the end. I don't know. We'll see. This is the only battle. Actually, oh, here he goes. He's going to send it on the inside. And he's going to try to make that move. And Pablo's not. Oh, they got so close there. But Barry does make that move after the whole race following him.
Don't know how thrilled Suarez will be about that move. West didn't give him a whole lot of room. Here's the thing, though. We've still got 2 laps left to go, and Suarez might be able to make something happen on the straights. Boy, they were close there.
Yeah, Barry went into the corner and just took the line away from him. They were really close, but Barry's been hounding him. I knew he'd eventually try to make a move, and we'll see if Suarez does anything for him as we're going to try to go and get the white flag at the moment.
Yeah, leaders already started the final lap. These two are just starting it now. Suarez has a bit of a run on West, but he's not near him. Honestly, the best passing opportunity would be in a couple corners' time where West made it stick. But first, Suarez would have to get a good exit out of turn 2. He was deep on the entry of turn 2. West, oh no, it looks like Barry West might get this. One thing's for sure is that Gernot Frisch is going to take home the win because he's on the front straight now with no pressure, weaving across the line. Gernot Frisch takes 8 wins in 12 races this season of the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship. And what a ride by Alex Millwood to get second.
All right, back to this battle. P8, P9. Barry West has been able to pull out a little bit of a gap. Suarez drives it deep into, looks like over to Lukey Heights. So I don't think he's close enough unless Barry makes a mistake. This is the way we're going to finish.
Yeah, so doesn't look like any changes in the top 10 on the last lap. Frisch, Millwood, Fraser, Bykoff, Lambert, top 5, Keeley, Unhola, 6th and 7th. And here comes Barry West to pick up 8th. Suarez for 9th. Behind them will be Peter Koneski in 10th in the Brabham, but I don't think that will be enough. It looks like Ligier are coming home, our team champions. And there's your driver champion, Gernot Frisch, and well deserved by him. We'll have a moment to speak to all these drivers and give you a full race rundown in just a couple of moments here on GSRC. Hello and welcome back to Phillip Island Circuit, where we have just completed the 12th round of the 12-round Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship, and quite appropriately, your race winner was your champion, winner of 8 out of the 12 races this season, Gernot Frisch. Best race of the season for Alex Millward. He'll come home in second place ahead of Adam Fraser, who had a quiet ride to third place. Much the same can be said for our fourth place finisher, Steve Bycroft. All of the top four finishers in the positions that they started. George Lambert started sixth, moved his way up to fifth. He switched that position with Richard Keeley. Then you're probably going to get back to your first disappointed drive at the end here. Tommy Mikel and Holy could have maybe came home with the top five, but he's going to have to settle for seventh. Barry West, an aggressive pass on the with 2 laps left to go on his teammate Pablo Lombarra Suarez, but there was no contact, and they come home in that order in 8th and 9th. And then Peter Konietzki rounds out the season, rounding out the top 10.
Coming in 11th spot is Keith Herner. Right behind him will be Kendrick Taylor in 12th, Paolo Albertson in 13th. Great job from Timothy Reed, starting 31st, finishing 14th. He's also the last car who did not get lapped. Coming in 15th, the first lapped car will be Tony Tiolas. 16th, Robert Simpkins. 17th, Adnan Dzarevic. 18th is Todd Herner. 19th, Peter Duggan. And Paul Ferrar, 20th, 2 laps down.
Also 2 laps down, we find Fabio Guerrero and Corey Chester. And then we get to Francisco Javier Gutierrez, who was 3 laps down. I think he was running with quite substantial damage. Daniel Gattuso also 5 laps down. The rest of the drivers all didn't make it to the finish. Pepe Rocio, John Stevens, Tobias Gerber, Alexei Heinonen, Armando Edwards, Daniel Banker, Javier Romero, Brennan Cleveland, Charles-Eric Lemelin, Glenn Corrigan, and Francois Gagne. All right, who have we got to talk to? Well, what about our race winner and season champion? Congratulations, Gernot Frisch, 8 wins and 12 races this year.
Hi, Sam. Yeah, I had a really good season. I had to keep pushing till the very end, but yeah, it was pretty much a perfect season for me, definitely.
No Juha Noralampi or Matt Wood today, so the driver you had in your mirrors in the early laps was Alex Millward. How familiar are you with racing against Alex, and does that change your approach to the race when you have a driver such as him behind you in second place?
No, not really. He's a really quick guy, and he's been pushing a lot lately, so he's been really quick in the last few races. So it wasn't unexpected for me. Unfortunately, some other top guys have been missing that one. Juha and Matt would have been much more fun with them attending the race.
Well, we know you've wrapped up the Drivers' Championship standings here in the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship. I mean, the strength of field would have to have been something out of this world for you to really lose a championship here today. How are things going over in the official iRacing series? Because I know you said you and Juha Noralampi have been going back and forth there a bit.
Yeah, I think that's a bit strange. I don't know. I think I know how it ended up. I think you had just got me in that final week. He did a race with a high off midweek. And I think I lost it due to that. So that's a little bit, maybe a downside, the only downside in that season. But yeah, he's super quick, and of course he also deserves to win that series.
All right, well, sorry, the bit up a sour note there, but hey, you won the Classic Team Championship this year, and we enjoy always watching the battles between yourself, Juha, and all of the other big names we get come into this season. We're going to see you back next year.
Yeah, I'll be back, although I'll be missing some weeks, so yeah. I should be back, and see you guys. Bye-bye.
All right, well, that was our race winner and the Lotus 79 Classic Team Champion, Gernot Frisch. And Richie, you've caught up with Tommy Unhola.
Yes, we've caught up with Tommy Unhola, comes in 7th spot, starting 8th. Tommy, we saw you battling there with George and Richard Keeley for 5th spot, and then a couple of minor mistakes there. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, race was really good until those mistakes. It was fun to drive there. Qualifying was kind of bad, so but the race pace was a bit better, and it was a bit annoying as I think I broke my car on that first mistake, and It was, I mean, I didn't even brake too late. It was just bad braking, and that is even more annoying. And I don't know what happened on second mistake, as I turned in like always, and or at least I think I did, and it just rear of the car stepped away, and I have no idea what happened, as it has not happened in practice or any session so far. So I was a bit surprised, but saved it kind of, and then I'm sure that car was a bit broken, and I just kept my position after that.
Well, we noticed that the sun was going down and the track temperature was going down. We did see a few mistakes from other people. Was it getting tricky to drive with the glare?
No, not really. I think it actually looked really good, and I was doing practice sessions to almost in the end when it was too dark. But I think those conditions look very good on my monitor.
Yeah, well, on the screen it looks great. So we were just wondering if there was some glare for you guys. Great season. I know the first half probably wasn't that good for you, but you put in some strong performances near the end. Are you going to come back for the next season championship?
Yeah, that's the plan. Beginning of the season was kind of bad, and I didn't get enough practice time, but I luckily got races in, and it was not bad season, but it would have made much better. So I would love to be back next season, and I'm gonna try to make every week.
Well, we hope to see you back. You always make the racing exciting, and you're always fun to talk to in the booth. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you hopefully in a couple weeks.
Yes, thank you, and thank you guys for broadcasting and everyone who makes this series go like it is. This is great fun. So thank you, everybody, and see you later.
And there you go. That's Tommy Munhola finishing in 7th spot.
And one position behind him was Barry West. Barry, though, you ran 9th place most of the race. You only got 8th at the very end there. Do you want to talk us through that move?
Yeah, I just out qualified Pablo at the beginning, and as teammates, I thought we have to try and pull away from those behind us, but we had an epic few laps at the beginning with John Stevens and Peter Kay, and then I just thought, well, no, we just have to follow. But I thought I was a little bit quicker, and I was better at braking at the hairpin, so I just braked much earlier than I knew I could. And then I thought it was the last lap, but it was 2 to go, and just tried the inside, and Pablo did not defend too hard, but I thought if he catches me up and gets me on the straight, I'll let him have the lead back. But no, but I managed to pull away a little bit and just keep about 0.5 in front. So yeah, it was a great race, and I must thank Pablo because it was his setup as well. It was a lovely, had really good results here all week, and it's a lovely track. You get such a rhythm and flow with it, but just to get that little bit more, it's so much more difficult. I don't know how Gurno gets another second out of it because I'm on the edge all the time. But yeah, it was a great race. I really enjoyed it.
It got kind of close between yourself and Pablo there, exiting the hairpin. He didn't say anything about that?
No, I think he was okay with it. We had a race in the week, and he let me take the position yesterday from him. And then today, I just felt I just had to sort of see if I could beat him because he's beaten me all season, and this is the one I felt strong on. So I don't think there's any hard feelings at all. I think it's just good points for the team. We knew that we had a good result, and when we were like 10 seconds clear, I just pushed a little bit more to see if I could make him make a mistake. But no, he was faultless. It was just he was breaking a little fraction earlier than me into that hairpin, which is the only chance I had, I think. But yeah, no, we got close a few times. I don't think we were like 0.5, 0.8 all race. It was just to and fro, and I never attacked once into the turn one because I knew I could take turn one flat. But with the toe, it would have been interesting to see if he could still take it flat. But no, I didn't want to put him off his line, and we managed to pull away. And we when he got past John Stevens, I thought, oh, this is tricky, and I was level with him for a few laps. I don't know if you caught that on film, but I'm just going to watch it again now. But that was pretty hairy. We were side by side all through the S's at the back and over the back, over the hump down in. So it was, yeah, that was the most exciting moment of the race for me.
Now, can you confirm, because from our math, Ligier, once you take the drop weeks into effect, you came in with a points advantage over Brabham here today, and with all three of your cars in the top 10, I've got to imagine you've extended that points lead today, and Ligier's the team champions.
Oh, well, that was the plan. I was hoping, and then George did his bit because he could only do one race this week because I think he did the Sebring. So, yeah, that was a great result. If we have, yeah, that's really.
That's my understanding. I can't confirm that, but I would say 90% that's what's happened here.
Right, great. I don't know how many points I got today. I haven't checked yet. I got 125 earlier, so that's 12 points, isn't it? So if we got 12 each, that's 36. So that's going to take some beating with the 6 we already had. So yeah, that's looks like it could be a good result.
All right. Well, it sounds like what's the expression Bill always uses? Simon and Poindexter, I think, is where he goes with that. It sounds like Simon and Poindexter still have some tallying up to do, but hey, Barry, Ligier, whether you guys came home team champions or not, it was impressive to see the consistency you guys had in the second half of the season. And if it has gone your way, congrats, which I believe it has, congrats on that, because it's been fun to watch. Great,
thanks, man. Yeah, cheers.
All right, well, that was our 8th place finisher, Barry West, today. And, well, Richie, there's one season in the books. We definitely saw a lot of interesting races this season. Some had good battles up front, and unfortunately we didn't get that today. Some had big pile-ups on the first lap. Fortunately, we didn't get that today either, but we did see some great racing throughout the field, which we've pretty much seen every race this year.
Yeah, we actually had some really great races this year, especially the last few weeks. This week was, a little bit processional, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. That's what makes racing. You never know. And great fields, big fields as well all year long, or all season long. So hopefully we'll get the same when we come back in 2 weeks.
And we hope to see all our fans back as well. Well, we would like to thank all of the organisers and the competitors from the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship, from the Lotus 79 community, for choosing GSRC and putting on another fantastic season. We would also like to thank, as always, the companies that provide the software and hardware that we use during our broadcasts. And there you can see them all listed on your screen, including our music providers, Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde. If you want to find out more of their great work, you can find out how right there at the bottom of your screen. Thanks to the team today, all season long, Richie, Amjad, Dougie. We've also had Joe and a couple other broadcasters come and help us throughout the season, so we appreciate them stepping on board when needed. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel, and be sure to give us a like on Facebook and follow us on Instagram at GSRC_Graham. All of the upcoming races for our other series are listed on your screen now, so be sure to check those out, mark them down on your calendar, and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.